So were any of you here this summer when we had that tornado warning? Yeah, remember? I heard it was quite the adventure sheltering in the basement. That's not something we do very often here in New England. Now, on that same morning, I was headed with my family out to Star Island, a UU camp and conference center that is several miles off the coast of New Hampshire. We were going there for our first time as a family, and I, to be honest, was already feeling a little nervous about spending a week on a tiny island with a bunch of people I didn't know. And then there was a tornado warning and a seemingly never-ending downpour. That was kind of the whole summer, right? Now, when we arrived at the dock and dropped off our luggage and car, that downpour was at full speed. Despite having raincoats and an umbrella, we were prepared. In the process of just going across the street and back for lunch, we got ourselves fully drenched. Like, it looked like I had jumped in a swimming pool with my clothes on, that kind of drenched. Now, when we finally boarded the ferry, I was wetter than I think I have ever been, and it was a pretty rough ride. There were no seats free for us because they're used to having people be outside in that ferry, and the seas were not friendly in that storm. One of us in my family was full-on seasick, while the rest of us did our best to take deep breaths and focus on something other than the rolling seas. By the time we arrived at the island, I was not sure that any of this had been a good idea. This was not the welcome I had been hoping for. But the rain had actually stopped when we got off the ferry, and we were greeted by hot coffee and fresh chocolate chip cookies. Maybe one of the best cookies I've ever eaten in my life. As we all started to decompress from that harrowing ride, there was a companionship that emerged. As often happens when you have undergone an ordeal together, we laid out books to dry and took turns handing over our very wet belongings to go in the handful of dryers that exist on the island. We compared the items that had gotten hopelessly ruined and lamented not thinking of packing more of our things in plastic bags. And despite that soggy beginning, as the week went on, I quickly did find the welcome I had hoped for. I found it in smiling faces and helping hands, in directions to the playground, invitations to play cards after the kids had gone to bed, and explanations of some of the more unusual customs and acronyms on the island. It turned out that the weather was not actually indicative of the people who had gathered there, a people who were ready to welcome us in, to receive us in whatever state we arrived, no matter how soggy. This is the magic of Unitarian Universalist communities at our best. We offer a welcome that is unabashed, that doesn't care how wet you are or how rough the ride has been of late. We greet it all with love. We can't change that it is raining or that the world is a harder place than we would like it to be, but we can offer hot coffee and cookies, or maybe ice cream, shelter you while you dry off a bit, and commiserate about that journal that is just too wet to salvage. I don't know why it is raining, but I do know that you can keep dry under this portable sanctuary. This month, we are exploring the gift of welcome, the ways we give and receive that gift here in our Unitarian Universalist community and out in our wider world. Each of you should have received that little, hopefully, many of you have little portable sanctuaries, also known as umbrellas, which I'm going to invite you to write on in just a moment. I want you to think about welcome, about perhaps the kind of welcome you have received here at UU Nashua. How have you been welcomed? How have you been cared for? How have you found sanctuary? try to summarize that in a word or two, and you can write that on your umbrella, a word or two on your umbrella. For those of you online, if you put it in the chat, we will add it to our display that we're going to put together. You can write a full sentence if you need to, or just one or two words. Or if it feels better to you, you can draw something instead. During our ice cream social, we'll invite you to bring those and put them on a bulletin board. Inside, my script says outside, but inside, so we can make a display of all the ways that we find welcome here. May this be for us a place of welcome, a place with an abundance of portable sanctuaries, ready for whatever unexpected rainstorms come our way.